Welcome back, YouTube Axis and Allies brethren, to the turret in Goldsboro, North Carolina, where we're getting ready to do round 3 of, UK's turn for round 3 of this Axis and Allies Anniversary Edition version 1941 between Captain Jack and Private Joe as the Allies, and LT and Corporal Panda as the very formidable Axis. So for UK's build for this turn production, they're going to do 2 infantry for 6, 1 artillery for 4, 2 tanks for 10, 1 fighter for 10, and they'll have 1 IPC left over for to spend on the next turn. So, a couple combat movements here for the UK. The first one is they're going to take this transport that was in C-Zone 28, move it up 2 spaces into C-Zone 34, and up the Suez Canal here, or toward the Suez Canal, and they're going to drop off 2 infantry in Egypt, and they're going to take the territory of Egypt from the Germans. So we'll move the UK up to 27, and we'll move the Germans down to 27. So they'll be equal now on the IPC board. So that mission is accomplished. The other is they're going to take the 2 transports from the UK, and they're going to bring 2 infantry, 1 artillery, and 1 tank from the UK into France. They're going to also bring 2 fighters and the bomber to support this with a battleship bombardment. Fighters and the bombers are coming from the UK, so they'll have 2 movement and 4 movements respectively left in their fuel gauge. They'll be attacking 3 German infantry and 2 Italian tanks. So we'll go set that up on the battle board now. All right, guys, so we're back. So any of you who've been following this this game may remember that in round 1, the UK, or Private Joe and the UK, tried to take France right then, and it was that was a debacle. Landed no hits whatsoever with a great advantage, and then the Germans hit on all their green die. But anyway, we'll try to forget about that right now. And so this is basically France 2.0. So we're going to re-roll this now, or roll this now, and see what happens. So the UK will have 1 infantry division alone with a black hit die. They'll have 2 green die with an artillery and infantry together. They'll have 2 fighters and 1 tank at 3 blue die. They'll have 1 bomber at a red hit die, and 1 battleship bombarding with a red hit die. They will eventually be going against 3 German infantry and 2 Italian tanks. All right, so here is the roll for the British amphibious assault force, and they're looking for 5 hits. And they got 1, 2, 3, 4 hits. All right, so after 4 hits, we assume the Germans will lose the 3 infantry and 1 tank. So they'll get the fire back with 3 green hit die for the infantry and 2 blue hit die for the tanks. All right, so here is the combined arms German-Italian defense roll. And they got 2 hits. 2 hits. So the UK will lose the 2 infantry units. And what that will leave is 1 UK artillery, 1 tank, 2 fighters, and 1 bomber. They will press the attack on. They're looking for 1 hit here. And they got plenty of hits. All right, so the Italian tank will fire back with 1 blue hit die. And it was a miss. All right, so we'll place this back on the battle board now. So this battle for France obviously went better than the first one. All right, so for the IPC movement for this round, for the Battle of France, we'll move the UK from 27 up to 33 for the 6 IPCs, and we'll move Germany down from 27 to 21. All right, so for non-combat movements, the bomber that took place in the Battle of France will go back to the UK. The 2 fighters from that same battle will go back to the UK. And the only other non-combat move we have is this destroyer that was in C-Zone 28 will make steam and head into C-Zone 23. All right, so that's the last of the non-combat movements. So for placement of units, we'll come back and do that in just a second. All right, so for the place new units phase of this turn, we're going to be putting, Private Joe's going to produce 1 infantry into the Union of South Africa and 1 tank division to join it. The rest of the units, 1 infantry, 1 artillery, 1 tank, and 1 fighter will be placed into the UK. So, the UK will collect 33 IPCs for this round, plus a 10 IPC bonus for having Eastern Western Canada, Gibraltar, Egypt, Australia, and South Africa, and also another 5 IPC bonus for having France. So that'll be 10 IPCs. So that'll be 33 plus the 10 plus 1 more. So they'll have 44 IPCs to spend next turn. So for the unit recap for the UK, here's what we've got. 1 armor division in the UK, 1 infantry, 1 artillery, 1 factory, 1 bomber, 3 fighters. There's also a US bomber and a US fighter. In C-Zone 7, there's 1 battleship, 2 transports, and 2 destroyers. In France, there's 1 artillery and 1 tank. In C-Zone 23, there's 1 destroyer. In South Africa, there's 1 tank, 1 infantry, and 1 industrial complex. In C-Zone 34, there's 1 transport and 1 destroyer. In Australia, there's 3 infantry, 1 artillery, and 1 AA gun. Oh, and I failed to mention there's 2 infantry in Egypt. There's 1 last infantry unit in Alaska. So that'll do it for this UK round 3 turn. From the turret in Goldsboro, North Carolina, Private Joe and Captain Jack, over and out.